Minister Ayanda Dlodlo has warned that officials found guilty of defrauding the state of COVID-19 grant money will not be returning to public service. Last year, nearly 6,000 public sector employees claimed the 350 Rand social relief grant. But as of January this year, those applying to work for government have to disclose all pending disciplinary action and criminal convictions. This would make many ineligible for the public sector. Dr. Salomon Hoogenraad-Vermaak is the head of the Public Administration Ethics and Integrity Unit at the Department of Public Service and Administration. Doctor, thank you so much for your time and joining us today. How many public servants are under investigation at the moment, and what's the timeline for finalizing the investigation and the disciplinary proceedings?
Good morning, Tafuma, and good morning, listeners, viewers. Currently, the Anti-Corruption Task Team appointed or established a fusion center. And this fusion center is the pooling of investigative skills, of prosecution skills. It's also supported by the Financial Intelligence Center. It's supported by the State Security Agency and the Auditor General South Africa. And in this fusion center, which is looking specifically at the COVID-related fraud and corruption, they prioritized the public servants involved in this fraud and corruption, and they identified 5,812 public service officials who's possibly involved in this 350 Rand scheme where they unlawfully actually got this grant. So the work of this unit, the TAO unit, is to assess whether those 5,812 are definitely public service employees who received the money. We use a partial system where we then run this 5,812 employees against, and then we found that not all those members are actually, or not all those names on the list were actually public service employees. So we started with a priority list of 242 employees, where we ran that against the partial and found that 44 of those members are not public service employees and 198 are indeed. So there's an error of about 18%. But the investigations has started under the guidance of the SASSA and also the SAPS, the police, where they are busy with the investigations. I cannot comment on the time frame because that is not my area of responsibility. But the time frame is as quick as that we can possibly deal with this. Of course, investigations is not that easy, especially under COVID circumstances as well. But the investigators are doing the statements. They are taking the lead of the money through the bank systems. Recently, we also found the necessity to actually confirm the addresses of those involved so that we can establish the jurisdiction area, and that we are waiting for departments to respond in terms of verifying the addresses.
Doctor, you spoke of whittling it down to 198 that are currently being investigated. Does that mean the other 5,600 odd were definitely not government employees, or is there another reason why those weren't prioritized?
It is just to make the investigations more manageable, that you do it chunks, and also because it's a new type of investigation, it's easier to start with a small number, then learn lessons, do a thorough analysis of what went wrong, what went right, and then thereafter you can take the rest of the cases, and then it would be much easier, because we also need to coordinate so that when the investigations are ready, we can have immediately the same time then disciplinary cases run by the different provinces and provide assistance from the TAO unit side, so that we don't exceed the 90 days time frame that there's also in terms of finalizing the discipline management cases.
So the 5,600 are yet to be investigated then. How much did this cost the public purse, those 5,800 odd that claimed from SASSA?
The whole amount currently stands at 5.8 million, which is a very high number of in any case for government to lose in terms of fraud and corruption.
Dr. Minister Dlodlo says that those who are involved will not find it easy to get back into public service. How are you going to make sure that that actually happens?
As you've indicated in the beginning, we've changed the Z83, which is the application form, where the individual need to explain that all the disciplinary cases against the person, but he also needs to declare whether he was found or she was found guilty of corruption. And if that is the case and they have a criminal record, they need to indicate that up front. If you lie about that, that would be fraud, and then the application will be dismissed. If you are then, if you were found guilty of fraud and corruption, then you must disclose that, and then a department must consider that before appointment, because the renewed focus on professionalization and also looking at the values of the Constitution would not actually require for a department to, or would be good for a department then to appoint these people to the public service.
Doctor, is that not then a reactive process as opposed to a proactive process? You're relying on them to declare to you that they are under disciplinary action or that they're guilty of fraud, and only after the fact would you find out? Is there no way of catching them before they even enter the door?
Currently, there is not, if it is a first offender, because there won't be any database where that information is on. That is where you would rely on the individual. When the individual do the disclosure, that the person would be honest. But that would also then need to be confirmed by the different departments so that they make sure that you do not employ a criminal. But if in the process where it does happen or do happen, then the person would immediately be dismissed if it's found that the person has a criminal record and did not disclose that.
Well, Doctor, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Dr. Salomon Hoogenraad-Vermaak of the Department of Public Service and Administration.